Forget the Suez and Panama Canals. The future of global shipping is icy. Within the next decade, the Arctic could become a bustling highway.
This is the Northwest Passage. It's a sea passage that spans 900 miles and joins the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans through the Arctic archipelago. It may look insignificant, but the truth is, this passage has the potential to change everything. The only problem is that it doesn't exist yet. But now this is all potentially changing. The Arctic sea ice is melting and also being replaced with thinner, seasonal ice due to climate change. And this means that eventually, whether it be by 2050, 2100, or somewhere in between, the Northwest Passage will become fully navigable for mega container ships for at least a few months out of the year.
This new Arctic highway could transform everything we know about supply chains and international relations. And it's happening much faster than most people realize. This isn't a distant dream. It's already unfolding, with massive implications for trade, technology, and global power. The potential savings are huge. A trip from Shanghai to Rotterdam usually takes 30 days through the Suez Canal. Via the Arctic, it could be reduced to as few as 20 days. That means faster deliveries, lower fuel costs, and major advantages for industries relying on just-in-time supply chains.
The importance and geopolitical ramifications of this cannot be understated. If you wanted to transport something from, say, Shanghai to New York, it would take about 10,500 nautical miles through the Panama Canal, which is currently the best and most convenient option for marine shipping from Asia to the US East Coast. However, that same journey through the Northwest Passage could be about 8,600 nautical miles, potentially saving 7 days of travel time. It's the same with shipping from Japan to the US. From Yokohama Port to New York City, the journey is 25 days and about 9,720 nautical miles through the Panama Canal, whereas with the Northwest Passage, it would be 21 days and about 7,480 nautical miles. Basically, this passageway connects East Asia and America's East Coast far better than the Panama Canal, saving thousands of nautical miles in distance, time, fuel, and CO2.
Global trade arteries are under pressure, from droughts in Panama to political tensions in the Middle East. Against this backdrop, the Arctic is emerging as a potential game changer for international shipping. As sea ice recedes, new waters are opening up, offering faster routes, shorter distances, and major savings for shipping companies. Two of the most critical Arctic corridors are the Northern Sea Route along Russia's Siberian coast and the Northwest Passage, cutting through Canada's Arctic archipelago.
Global tensions find a new stage in the warming Arctic.
Tonight, the U.S. closely monitoring growing military cooperation between Russia and China.
The Arctic is no longer a low-tension region.
You've got the incoming U.S. president calling the Arctic a top priority and promising to drill for oil and gas. Canada is massively beefing up its military presence, investing $72 billion over the next couple of decades into Arctic defense. And Russia and China working together on what they call a polar Silk Road.
Historically, these passages were dangerous and nearly impossible to navigate. But today, thanks to climate shifts and new technology, they're becoming more accessible, turning exploration into a realistic commercial opportunity.
According to the Canadian government, by 2050, the Arctic Ocean will become an increasingly viable shipping route between Europe and Asia during the summer. That's a big deal because right now, the fastest way to ship goods from Europe to Asia is through the Suez Canal in Egypt. But as we've seen more and more, the Suez Canal is not always the most reliable route.
A giant container ship ran aground in the Suez Canal after losing power.
Civilian shipping in the Red Sea has become more collateral damage to the war in...
Essentially two ways you could do this. One is using what's known as the Northwest Passage. This would take you through the Arctic on the North American side, weaving through Canada's northern archipelagos. The other route through the Arctic is known as the Northern Sea Route. This one passes through the Russian side of the Arctic Ocean, along the Siberian coastline. Both of these routes offer a much shorter path between Europe and Asia than the Suez Canal. It shaves off up to 5,000 kilometers. That's a third of the trip, or up to a full week of travel.
Guardrails that prevent conflicts are increasingly under immense strain. Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine has led us all to ask, who's next?
It's estimated that Russia now has nearly double the number of military bases in the Arctic than Canada, the US, Denmark, and Norway combined. And over the past year, it has ramped up weapons testing. And this Russian military base in the middle of the Arctic Ocean, for example, is actually closer to Canada's military base in Nunavut than Nunavut is to Ottawa or Toronto. And just look how close this Russian military airbase is to Alaska.
This is Polar Dagger, a mission intended to show Russia's decision makers what the U.S. military can do in the remote areas of the Arctic.
We're seeing activities by foreign states that are approaching northern communities, and that's a real problem.
In global trade, shaving off days isn't just efficiency, it's power.
Global attention has shifted to efforts to develop a new trade route along the Arctic Ocean, known as the Northern Sea Route. This passage was once seen as the Arctic's gateway to a faster and more profitable trade route to East Asia. However, the dangerously cold conditions made navigation extremely difficult, if not impossible, keeping this route out of reach for centuries.
But this opportunity comes with serious risks. Oil spills in icy waters are almost impossible to clean. Increased shipping also brings noise pollution that threatens whales, seals, and narwhals. And emissions like black carbon can accelerate ice melt, destabilizing the very region ships rely on.
The Arctic is a fragile ecosystem, home to unique wildlife and indigenous communities. Increased shipping could have devastating impacts. One major concern is oil spills. The Arctic's icy waters make cleanup extremely difficult, and a spill could have long-lasting effects on the environment. There's also the risk of invasive species being introduced through ballast water, which could disrupt local ecosystems.
By 2040, Arctic shipping could redraw the map of global trade. Polar routes may shift Asia-Europe flows, cut lead times, and force stricter climate standards for shipping. Whoever controls icebreakers, ports, and communications will hold enormous leverage in this new trade network. The Arctic won't just be about saving days at sea. It will be about shaping the balance of global power.
That's a huge deal. The journey connected Asia to Europe in just 19 days, far shorter than the 48 days it normally takes for ships to go from China to Europe's largest port in Rotterdam.
The Arctic's opening forces a choice we can't delay. Will we build a system that balances speed and profit with cultural sovereignty and environmental limits? Or will we accept a faster world at the expense of fragile seas and the communities who've protected them for generations? The answer will determine not just the future of shipping, but the future of our planet.
Russia's claim over the international waters of the Northern Sea Route, including its newly announced plans to connect it with China's maritime Silk Route. No one denies Russia has significant Arctic interests. Its actions deserve special attention of this council in part because of their sheer scale.
There are three main routes to consider: the Northern Sea Route, NSR, along Russia's northern coast, the Northwest Passage through Canada's Arctic archipelago, and the Transpolar Sea Route, which goes directly over the North Pole. Of these, the Northern Sea Route is the most developed. It can cut the journey from Europe to Asia by up to 2 weeks compared to the traditional route through the Suez Canal. The opening of the Arctic is not just a matter of logistics, it's a geopolitical game changer. Russia isn't the only player. China, despite not being an Arctic nation, is keenly interested. They've declared themselves a near-Arctic state and are investing in projects along the NSR. In 2023 alone, traffic along the NSR reached a record 36 million tons, with projections to double by 2030. We're witnessing the emergence of new trade routes that could handle millions of tons of cargo annually.